Here, Bermuda's Premier and Minister of Finance, the Honourable David Burt, described why Bermuda is the best place in the world to set up new international business companies, including for their innovative spirit, culture of collaboration, and technological prowess. Premier Burt, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us here today. Can you just start by highlighting some of the ways that the government is helping to attract direct foreign investment and supporting Bermuda's international business sector?
Well, thank you very much, Georgie. Since the pandemic, the government has been focused on executing our economic recovery plan. And part of the execution of that economic recovery plan certainly relies on direct foreign investment. What you have seen in Bermuda is that we are a leader in the space of insurance and reinsurance, and we've seen significant new capital, new company formations that have come to Bermuda in the wake of the pandemic. That is supported by our excellent regulatory environment, which we have spent years making sure that we invest in, that we build in, and make sure that global regulators have confidence that Bermuda-regulated companies are the gold standard in the world. In addition to that, we have implemented many new items, such as the Work from Bermuda program, and we've also put in place a new economic investment certificate, which I'm sure that we can discuss later.
What are the major motivations then for any type of firm to make direct investment? What makes Bermuda different?
Well, what sets Bermuda apart is our excellence in regulation. When we have businesses come to Bermuda, when they meet with our regulator, when they meet with the government, they are always impressed by the fact that they can get a meeting, that they can have those conversations, that they don't have to, send an email to a random email box and wait for a few days to possibly get a response. They can speak to our regulators face to face. They can speak to government officials face to face, and they can hear from us directly what it is that we plan on doing, how we're implementing, how the government will assist them in setting up their businesses when coming into the country and the services of which we offer. And I think that that is something that has always set Bermuda apart. We've honed it over many years in insurance, and now we're applying it to new areas of the financial services industry, and we're seeing success.
Does Bermuda have a citizenship program or something similar? And can you tell us, please, a little bit more about Bermuda's Economic Investment Certificate?
Certainly happy to do that. Bermuda, we do not have a citizenship by investment program per se. What we do have in Bermuda, and one of the new initiatives of which we rolled out, is an economic investment certificate. An economic investment certificate is for persons who may want to invest in Bermuda and have long-term residency in Bermuda. What this allows is persons can make a $2.5 million investment, whether it be in real estate, whether it be in government bonds, whether it be in charitable donations to the local sector, or whether they be in the starting up of a new business here in Bermuda, or any other type of investment that the government may say is beneficial to the Bermuda ecosystem. Those persons are allowed to live in Bermuda, to work for their own businesses, and after 5 years, they're able to apply for a permanent residency certificate, which gives them the ability to reside in Bermuda over the long term. Because of our unique status as an overseas territory, after those 5 years, they are allowed to apply for a British Overseas Territory citizenship, and that is granted by Government House through the UK government. But we do not have a citizenship by investment program in Bermuda proper. So it kind of fulfills the same objectives, and it's something that we've seen work particularly well. We've seen in excess of $100 million of investment that has already come in through this program in a number of spaces, and it's something that we're particularly proud of and that we wish to continue to grow.
What is Bermuda doing as part of its plans for the blue economy? Can you just tell us a little bit more about Bermuda's ocean prosperity work?
Well, I think in our ocean prosperity work is something that we are proud of. And when I say proud, Bermuda has always been a leader when it comes to preserving the environment. We were some of the first countries in the world. I think the first environmental protection legislation that was put in place in Bermuda was put in place in the 1600s to protect sea turtles. So we know conservation. Conservation is in our DNA. We've had to make sure that we practice the delicate balance of conservation over time. But one of the things of which we have not done as well is to use our oceans for the economic benefit of which they have. And so part of our Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Initiative is that mix of how do we get additional investment into our oceans, into having sustainable fisheries in our oceans, into making sure that we can have renewable energy developed from our oceans, while at the same point in time protecting our oceans for the long term, making sure that that is sustainable development. So the Bermuda Ocean Prosperity Initiative, the cabinet has recently passed the draft plan, which is now going out to public consultation, which will seek investment into our blue economy, that investment for sustainable fishing, that investment for offshore energy, and those investments that are necessary to make sure that our oceans can work for us as a country. And certainly for investors that are looking for spaces to make those type of investments that can balance out an ESG balance sheet, can make sure that you are doing things that are in line with meeting targets insofar as climate change, et cetera. Bermuda is that ideal space. Inside of the Ocean Prosperity Initiative, there are the investments, as I said, in renewable energy. We are working with a company right now, Seabase, where we're looking to implement a project that will generate 10% of Bermuda's total energy needs from a wave power park. In addition to that, our marine spatial plan lays out how we're going to manage our oceans to make sure they are sustainable over the long term. And so with that, combined with the investments which we're seeking to ensure that Bermuda can make more money from our oceans while also secure additional investments, we look at that as a long-term plan for expanding our blue economy and taking advantage of our economic and our exclusive economic zone, which of course surrounds our very remote island.
Mr. Premier, you made clear the government is committed to preserving Bermuda's natural resources. Just explain to me in a bit more detail, if you would, how you're going about this, and tell me a bit more about Bermuda's goal to become the world's climate risk finance capital.
Well, Bermuda is certainly the world's risk capital already, and you will be hard pressed to find another jurisdiction that is like Bermuda. We are one of 2 jurisdictions in the world that have full regulatory equivalence with both the European Union and also the United States. And that is something that has served our insurance industry well. But Bermuda being one of the world's largest insurance market and the world's risk capital, what we have built up is years and years of experience and data over modeling weather trends, catastrophe trends around the world. And as climate is more impacted, as we're seeing climate change impacting extreme weather events, extreme events, which can be tied back to climate, we know that we have the ability to be the best predictors of what may happen in the future if climate change does continue. So when we are talking about the world's risk capital and expanding that into climate risk finance, what is important is that as the world progresses, as we know that climate change is a reality, there is going to be a need to finance resilience, building resilience in communities around the world which will be most impacted by climate change. As Bermuda is an excellent place to pool capital, to be put to place, to be deployed in those investments, we feel that Bermuda is ideally positioned. But the positioning from the pooling of capital is not just from the pooling of capital. It is also because of our expertise in actually knowing what are the types of investments which are needed and necessary to reduce the risk of the impact that extreme weather events or extreme climate events will have on communities around the world. Bermuda has, over its history, paid out billions of dollars to help communities recover after extreme events. We know how this works, and we are ideally positioned to ensure that we can bring those investments to markets that will help to build resilience in communities, and also to ensure that in the long term, that the impact of extreme climate events that we know we will see more often are reduced in communities around the world.
Finally, what future plans are in store for any potential investor watching this, and what would be your key takeaways for our audience?
I think the key takeaway is that there is no better place if you are a well-regulated company wanting to have access to a world-class financial regulator and a government that is fully committed to economic growth. There is no better country to consider than Bermuda. We call it our take, which I call it, is our take on the Bermuda Triangle. And it is the way that the government, the industry, and the regulator work together to ensure that we can continue to upgrade our laws, upgrade our regulations, and make sure that Bermuda remains relevant as a jurisdictional choice for international business. And international business Bermuda runs the full gamut. It runs the full gamut from our prize and our pride in insurance, but it is also international aviation, international shipping, high net worth management, dealing with issues such as the emergence of tech, broadening our matters in financial services into the area of digital assets and fintech. Bermuda is now an established leader in those spaces. So there are so many different aspects of which we continue to modernize, but that builds on the solid foundation of which we set. Where we let people know that Bermuda is an excellent place to raise capital, but a terrible place to hide capital. We pride ourselves in being compliant with international financial regulations. Bermuda scored the top score on the planet when it came to technical compliance with anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing. And that means that people can have confidence in investing in Bermuda as a jurisdiction that has political stability, that has a well-functioning public service, that has an excellent support system for businesses that wish to set up. And we have a long track record of success for building global companies that have global impact, which are headquartered right here with substance here in Bermuda.
Mr. Premier, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.